Every year, more than 14,000 ships pass through a shortcut that saves them thousands of kilometers. Without it, a journey between the Atlantic and Pacific would take nearly 2 extra weeks. Millions of tons of cargo, cars, fuel, food, all depend on one narrow strip of land. But here's the part almost nobody realizes. The Panama Canal isn't simply a giant trench connecting two oceans. In fact, the ships don't sail at sea level at all. They're lifted nearly 26 meters into the air before being lowered back down again. Why would engineers build something so complicated? And how do thousands of tons of steel float uphill? Today we're breaking down one of humanity's greatest engineering achievements. For centuries, moving ships between the Atlantic and Pacific meant sailing around the southern tip of South America, a journey of over 20,000 kilometers. The route passed through Cape Horn, one of the roughest stretches of ocean on Earth. Violent storms, towering waves, unpredictable currents. Thousands of ships never made it. The obvious solution seemed simple: dig a canal across Panama. But nature had other plans. The center of Panama isn't flat, it's mountainous. Dense rainforest covers the terrain. Powerful rivers flood during the wet season, and tropical diseases killed workers faster than construction accidents. Many believed the canal simply couldn't be built. The first serious attempt began in 1881. The French, fresh from completing the Suez Canal, believed Panama would be just another excavation project.
This isn't as simple as the Suez Canal.
Suez crossed flat desert. Panama crossed mountains. Instead of dry sand, workers faced unstable rock, mudslides, floods, and relentless rain. Entire excavations collapsed overnight. Then came malaria and yellow fever. Mosquitoes spread disease through worker camps. Tens of thousands died. After nearly a decade, the project collapsed. The canal had become one of history's greatest engineering failures. When the United States took over in 1904, engineers completely changed the plan. Instead of digging all the way down to sea level, they asked a much smarter question. What if we lifted the ships instead? Rather than removing millions of extra cubic meters of rock, ships would climb into the mountains, cross a giant artificial lake, then descend back to sea level. The solution became known as a lock canal. Instead of fighting the landscape, the design worked with it. It reduced excavation, improved flood control, and made the impossible possible. Here's where the engineering becomes brilliant. Each lock is essentially a giant water elevator. A ship enters a chamber. Massive steel gates close behind it. Then, water flows in from the higher lake above. No pumps. No giant motors pushing water uphill. Everything works using gravity alone. As water fills the chamber, the ship rises with it. Once the water reaches the next level, the front gates open, and the ship moves into the next chamber. This process repeats several times. Eventually, the ship reaches Gotten Lake about 26 meters above sea level. After crossing the lake, the entire process happens in reverse. Water drains into lower chambers, and the ship slowly returns to sea level. Thousands of tons, moved using nothing more than gravity. The locks are only part of the story. Each steel gate weighs hundreds of tons, yet they're carefully balanced so relatively small motors can open them. Ships don't steer themselves through the locks either. Originally, special electric locomotives called mules kept vessels perfectly centered using steel cables. Today, powerful tugboats assist many larger ships. Engineers also had to manage enormous volumes of fresh water. Every transit releases millions of liters into the ocean. To reduce water loss, the expanded canal introduced massive water-saving basins that recycle much of each lock's water. Its engineering evolving with modern challenges. By the early 2000s, global trade had outgrown the original canal. container ships became dramatically larger. Many no longer fit through the old locks, so engineers expanded the canal. The new locks are significantly wider, longer, and include innovative water-saving systems. Today, ships carrying over 14,000 containers can cross Panama, keeping one of the world's busiest trade routes operating efficiently. The Panama Canal isn't impressive because it's big. It's impressive because of the engineering behind every decision. Rather than forcing nature to obey, engineers found a smarter solution. They used gravity instead of pumps, a lake instead of endless excavation, and a series of giant water elevators that have transformed global trade for over a century. Every time a ship quietly rises above sea level, it's a reminder that some of the greatest engineering isn't about brute force. It's about solving impossible problems with elegant ideas. And that's what makes the Panama Canal one of the greatest engineering miracles ever built.
If you enjoyed seeing how engineering makes structures like this possible, subscribe to Beyond Concrete.